Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show. I am your host, Matrix Lloyd 212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up, guys?
All right, so today we saw the Terminator Dark Fate trailer. What is your initial reaction?
So, right off the bat with this trailer, I noticed like a major issue, almost immediately. There was one line in this trailer, or actually two lines in this trailer, that I almost paused the trailer because I was like, they're copying off themselves.
Okay.
There's that scene when Sarah Connor says to this other Terminator, like, "You think you're human," and she says, "I am human."
That's from Salvation.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally the exact line that Marcus Wright says to John Connor, because Marcus Wright didn't know that he was a T-700 in that movie.
Right.
So, like, what is this? And then even the Terminator that I don't know what the hell model that was. It's the one that cloned itself.
Okay, that's what it did. That's what it did. It cloned itself. Okay.
I guess now it can make duplicates of itself or something. That design, not the fact that it can duplicate itself, but just the way that the design looked, that also looked like the T-700. So I was like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? Is it just like a remake of Salvation?
Right.
And then everything else in the trailer, I was just kind of like, this doesn't really feel like Terminator. This feels like something completely different.
Well, I noticed right off the bat the music.
Yeah.
It wasn't like dun 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 dun. It was trying to be hip with like a I don't know what the hell. See, the thing is, here's the thing. I liked it though, and it's weird, but it's better than with some of the stuff that's been out there. I think. I did think that the Terminator looked like shit.
It did. Oh, it was awful.
And I thought that it looked sort of like Venom or something.
It did.
And I'm like, they're gonna fix that, right? I get the impression that John Connor is not in this movie.
I think what they're gonna say is that since this is the canon sequel to Judgment Day, I'm assuming he's not going to be in it until maybe at the end, and they're going to say that he's been preparing
right
in the time gap, just in case, because now they're in some trouble, because now they have to start explaining, well, if Judgment Day happened, why is this still happening? Because they stopped Judgment Day in the second one. So
correct.
In the third one, they had the worst excuse ever. Like, Judgment Day is inevitable. You can't stop it. And it was like, really?
Right.
So there has to be a better explanation in this one for why this is still happening. Because...
Right. So now, did they drop off Terminators to just chill in the past and age?
Well, I don't know, because there was the part where that female Terminator who's
well, hold on. I saw Tim. What's the guy's name that wrote this?
Tim Miller.
I saw Tim Miller had stated that she's definitely not a Terminator. That
Okay.
She's an enhanced human.
Okay, so you know what she probably is? There's a thing in the expanded Terminator universe. I'm probably going to get the name wrong, so if somebody wants to correct me in the comments, please do. There's a thing called an I-950, an infiltrator 950, that was a human. I think, if I remember correctly, it was a human that was taken as a baby, and then Skynet would enhance them and then send them back, and because they were human, they would be able to infiltrate the human ranks without setting off any alarms. And then at some point, Skynet would, I guess, activate and take control of them or force them to do something. Maybe that's what she is.
But in this case, they never got to take control of her because they... See, here's the weird thing. We've seen all the Terminator movies, and what I'm getting, I mean, I know now they said 3 does exist, and Salvation and Genesis, but in a branched timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Where it like was created, new timelines were created, but it's not the main timeline.
Mm-hmm.
what I'm getting is that I think at some point in time, there's another faction of Terminators that are either reprogrammed or they become self-aware or they're good. Because we keep getting like a good Terminator Arnold, they keep having a whole supply of them for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, that's because they keep capturing the T-800s to reprogram them.
Right. So I'm thinking that, and they even said in the last movie, though we can't count it, that further in the future, like John Connor's kids are fighting with the Resistance. This thing is still going on, this war.
Right. They said that in Terminator 3. Yeah.
Yeah, like he died, and then beyond it's going on. So, I'm thinking that this girl in this is like a lieutenant or something, or one of John Connor's like main people in the future. Maybe.
You know what's funny about that is if that's the case, then again they're copying off themselves, because that was the TX's mission in Terminator 3, because the 850 tells John Connor you couldn't be located because you went off the grid, so Skynet sent this TX back to kill all of your lieutenants and, if possible, kill your wife. The only reason she started going after him was because she found John Connor, and that the order from Skynet was, if you find him, this overwrites your mission. You have to kill him. So it's.
But didn't they kill all the lieutenants? Didn't they kill?
She killed some of them, which would obviously
in three.
Yeah,
But that doesn't exist right in this one now.
I guess in that branch timeline. But she killed. There was a guy that worked in a fast food restaurant. There was this brother and sister that were having a party that she walked in and shot them. Or at least she shot the brother. And I think she killed one or two other ones. But when she tried to kill Kate, that's when she found John Connor, and it was like, oh well, Kate's out the window. I got to kill him.
See, I want to find out their whole rules of time travel, because I want to know if what's going on now, if the future that's sending Terminators back are a different future now. Like, in other words, they know of a timeline that existed before, but because everything's stored in records with the Terminator database, they know what happened even though it didn't happen. And this future is created because of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, like a new future.
Got sort of like a temporal lock in it.
Like a new future that's been Judgment Day is like 100 years from now. Then.
Well, you know what though? There's also another timeline that I don't know if it's going to factor in anything. I don't think it's going to, but there's an alternate ending for Terminator 2. Where it's like 30 years in the future, and Sarah Connor is sitting in a park, and she's recording a message. Like, she's much older, obviously, and she's recording a message saying it didn't happen. Skynet never came about. John Connor is a politician, and you see John playing with his daughter, and she goes, "There are no Terminators, and there never will be," something like that, and then it ends.
Yeah, but that's not canon, though, right?
I don't know. I'm assuming if they're going to do branch timelines.
I never even seen that one.
Yeah, it's on. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, when he started talking about it, I remembered it.
Yeah.
So there's a regular timeline where there's no interference, right? Then they go back, and then there's the new timeline where there is interference.
That would be the first Terminator.
Right. And then there's...
Every time they go back, they screw things up, basically. Yeah. So, and I think that's Skynet's point, because if you remember in the first Terminator, when they're interrogating Kyle Reese, he says, no, Skynet lost. We won. We smashed the mainframe. It sent the Terminator back in time as a last resort, because it said the only way that we can win is if we kill John Connor before he's born.
Right.
So when it sent that Terminator back to 1984, 85, whenever it sent it, it screwed up the timeline. It basically made, if the rules are what we're used to, then now that branches off into, now there's a timeline where their Terminator's going back in time.
So Skynet pretty much created its own timeline.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you remember, I know it doesn't count for this, but didn't you remember, hey, how you doing, Scott? I know, we didn't get to hi, Scott, are we?
That's all right.
Didn't Genesis look like a whole rack of Arnold Schwarzeneggers that was sent in the past? Like, Like they were ready to send a whole bunch in the past. Like not just one timeline. It's like a different Terminator for a different year.
That must be a completely different timeline because it doesn't match up with what Kyle Reese said in the first Terminator, where he was like, "We beat Skynet. It was over." And then
so they beat them, and there was like only a handful of Terminator left. Is that what it was?
Wait, he made it sound like there was only literally one left, and Skynet sent it back.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there was more, but at that point they probably lost. I mean, we saw Skynet get defeated. Well, from what Kyle Reese said, and then there's a flashback in Terminator 3, or I guess it's a flash forward technically, where you see John Connor standing on top of like a giant Terminator's head, and he's holding up an American flag, and all the humans are around him because they won. They beat Skynet. So I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with this. I want to know why she's going after this girl. I don't know if maybe they're gonna retcon Kate Brewster and say that this is John Connor's wife now, which would be weird.
Well, they might because they this is before. Well, how old is John Connor now? Supposed to be.
I don't know what the time jump between 2 and this is supposed to be. I'm assuming it's at least 10 years.
Here's the thing. Could the mission in this is to kill John Connor's wife? So
whoever that girl.
We don't have any children, and then they can't keep like having offspring to defeat the Terminators.
I don't know because all we know is that they're going after that girl for some reason. That seems to be the.
That's probably the wife.
It's somebody important.
Yeah. I think it's a lot better, though. You don't think it's better than from what we see?
There's a virus to put inside Skynet then?
I think it's better than what we saw with Genesis, but I got to tell you, I got a similar feeling to Genesis when I was watching this trailer. I was like, here we go. Like this is
well, I have to add to this. Here's the thing now. Remember how we were talking about John Carpenter only reason doing Halloween was to win a bet to show that Michael Myers is mortal, so it was like an ego sequel. But then he got paid off to change the ending, and he's like, "Oh, that with the bet, let's just make sequels."
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason that this Terminator took place, and we have evidence of this, is because James Cameron had battled Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman director, right? And criticized how she made a woman hero. Remember that?
Yeah.
And remember how he said that flat out, I need to get like my ex-wife and like we need to show them how it's done. Do you remember that? Like this was not fake. This is real. Like hit the gym, I'll pay for it. You're going to come back as Sarah Connor. We need to show them how it's done. The only reason this is happening is because of that. Like, he got the rights back, and he said this already. Before, like, you can't change it like, oh, he's only doing this to try to one-up and show how he can make a better female lead than Wonder Woman. Like, he wants to that's why she looks – listen, she was in a movie. She didn't look that good, right? What? I yell.
Sure.
Screaming.
Ooh, Joe's getting in trouble.
I'm not getting in trouble. No, I'm not getting in trouble.
No.
Okay. So the only reason that, like, so in other words, she was in a movie and she didn't look that good. She looked like overweight. She looked whatever, and I know you're getting older. She looked like a grandmother, right? And then after this whole thing, he paid for all this. She worked out. She did this. She did that, right? And now we have her all buffed out, looking fantastic. But there was no, like, he only did this because of ego. Like, he got the rights back, but he wasn't going to, he Avatar, screw that. I'm doing Terminator. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
the thing about that is, though, is that he's not even really doing this.
Well, wait a minute. She grabbed him, and she said, this script is a mess, and you need to fix it. And he had to go down there and he had to talk to the writer. And they had to fix it. That was a real...
Even still, though, he's not directing it. So this is really Tim Miller's vision.
I know, but still, this movie really wouldn't have happened if he didn't start battling Patty Jenkins.
This version, this Terminator film, should not be happening, in my opinion. I think this is going to do more damage to the Terminator franchise than it's going to do good. Even if the movie's good, because this is my thing. And I've said this about other franchises too. We're taking steps backwards. We're not going forward. Now we're back to Sarah Connor fighting Terminators that have been sent to the past to do something, and it's just it's this like rinse and repeat. Like send the Terminators.
They're basically starting to repeat the first Terminator movie.
So much so that they're. I mean, well, they've already been repeating the first.
I know, but I'm just. It's going to be eventual that they're just going to, even though they're going to say it's a sequel, you're going to watch it. It's like this is the same plot from the 84, 85 movie.
So now they're copying off themselves too, like almost word for word. Which to me is like, well, what are you doing? Like, how can you do that? You're copying off another Terminator movie. My thing is. If you're going to make this work, it needs to push to the future. I'm not saying like the future in the Terminator movie. I'm saying if you want Terminator films to keep coming out, you need to do something different with them. We got to get away from this, send them back in time. Fight Sarah Connor. Fight John Connor. Let's have John Connor. Let's do a better version of Salvation and get that going. That's why I liked Salvation so much, was that they didn't do the time travel thing. They tried to show, okay, you've seen all that. Here's the battle. Here's what's going on in the future. Now, that movie wasn't executed very well. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't executed very well. But
You're getting to see what actually either led up to
I really enjoyed the movie, though.
Time or just before it.
I really enjoyed Salvation.
That happened during it.
So, and I got to tell you, if you ever get a chance, read the Salvation novel. The Salvation novel is fantastic. But
I love the movie. I mean, I really loved it. So
if you like the movie, you'll like the book. The book is much better. But it's every time I hear, oh, they're making another Terminator movie, I'm like, oh, what's it going to be about? Well, they send the Terminator back in time, and it's like, oh my gosh, again.
Unless they just see, that's another thing. They broke their own rules that they're not supposed to be traveling to the future, but they did that twice. They did that in Sarah Connor Chronicles on TV, and they did that in
I'm still wondering if the girl who they're showing doesn't have a virus that they want to implant into Skynet. That's what I keep wondering now. So by preventing her from putting this virus into Skynet or a Terminator, that way that either doesn't come about the way they did or ends the war quicker.
My main thing is if they don't do it right, an explanation, then it's going to be a hodgepodge. It's going to be defeated before it begins, and the box office is going to be over. Like, you can't.
Written by Moffat?
Yeah, you can't just do a shitty response to why. Like, you got to tell us, did the timeline completely change? Like, is this like an echo of the future, or like what is happening? Is this?
Well, if this is going to be the canon sequel to Judgment Day, they don't really need to explain anything about the timeline. They just need to explain why this is still happening.
Right. Like, are these Terminator from further in the future, or are they from a Terminator that never took over? That like maybe they sent Terminators in the past just to sit there. So that way,
or how about this? When in the first movie, when the Terminator was defeated, granted it shut down the temporal doorway, but what if there was another Terminator coming through, and it got shifted somewhere to either it was pushed forward or further
because
back?
at this point in time, they know they lost. But here's the thing, right? If there is going to be something like Genesis where there's a rack of them sending them in the past, then they would know seconds after it was sent if they failed, because the time would get caught up with it. So maybe the whole mission is now is that they're trying to create a new Judgment Day by sending a whole bunch of Terminators back and just live normal lives until the time comes.
Oh, like a sleeper agent.
Right, and then are activated because the thing is that the timeline should wipe out and erase. Like if that's the old school rules of time travel, that timeline is going to fade out of existence. But if the Terminators travel into the past already, they're not going to fade out. Okay, so you throw like 10 Terminators in different times, and you let them sit there until a certain, like in other words, maybe they can't send it back before Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So now you send it after Judgment Day, but you just have them sit there, you know, and wait to, and for some reason now they got to wait until 2019 to battle Sarah Connor. Like, that's the whole point, is like, and just rebuild Skynet in the past without the nuclear explosion. Like, maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they sent the database down there or something, and they'll try to take over the world without Judgment Day. You know? Without, in other words, just being able to do it with all the technology and the phones and everything, just without killing anybody, but just like the Terminator.
Keep it hushed so that way they can easily take over without anybody even noticing.
Without any bloodshed, then like nobody would know the difference. You know, like,
I mean, in other words, if people die, it's like, oh, that was part of the timeline that they were supposed to die.
Like, in other words, people would die in their own homes.
The sound of thunder or whatever that.
Right, people would die in their own homes. Like, maybe their technology will kill them, and there won't be
That's
no.
the plot. That's the plot from Genesis, though.
I know, but like, I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, what is gonna happen now? How do we explain this? Like, is the timeline altered? I mean, and then now
no, I don't think it is. I think that they're literally just gonna say this picks up from where Judgment Day left off, and but
that's the whole point. How can it if it never came to pass? So then that timeline has to be.
You have to explain that was the same issue that they had.
So in other words, maybe they say that the future never changes, that timeline, but this timeline.
That's the problem. That's literally what they said in 3, and it was the worst explanation they could give because they were just like, "Fuck it, it just happens anyway."
So I mean, what would you do to fix it, though? I mean, there's got to be a way to fix this.
Well, I wouldn't have made this movie.
I know, but it's made, so now fix it. How do we fix this?
How do we? I don't think you can. I think that this plot is just it's like injecting like poison into it. It's like, oh well, we got to go back to the basics and fuck it, because it's just like
we've already screwed it this far.
I mean, how about this? How about this? Right, at the same time that they sent the Terminator 2, the first one and the second one, they sent this one. They sent them to different decades, just in case. So this is still the same timeline in the future. It didn't get caught up because now the Terminators were sent back in the past anyway. Could that be it then?
Sure.
Like, meaning there is no future anymore. This is just an echo, because like they were sent before the timeline was erased.
No, I don't think they're going to say it was an echo. I think they're just going to, if they went that route, they would just say Skynet sent Terminators back to some point, and we did this thing with Judgment Day, and now they're trying to do what you said they were doing, where they were trying to rebuild it in the past or something like that.
Or they'll say that one of these things were just a simulation.
I don't think they're going to do anything complicated with the time travel thing, because there's really no need to overcomplicate it. All you have to do is say either there's a reason that Skynet is still around even after the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and no, it can't be because it's inevitable. There has to be a reason for it. Or you say Skynet had sent these Terminators back before it was destroyed. That would be the smart thing to do, because if you try to shoehorn a complicated time travel thing into this, people are going to go, this is what you did in Genesis, and that movie sucked. And then you're going to be like, uh-oh, what do we do with Terminator now?
See, I mean, if the Terminators are really trying to change the timeline, and they can't do anything with John Connor, right? Mm-hmm. Then they would have to change other events that John Connor would have to experience that would change the timeline, no? Like
you could go that route, yeah.
Killing his mother before she's supposed to Like knowing that she dies in this year and then killing her 10 years before, or like whatever. I mean, I don't know. I just see the things. I like the trailer though. That's the weird thing. Even though I know that the special effects sucked ass, I still liked it. I don't know. What do you think, Scott? You liked it,
I
right?
enjoyed it. I enjoyed the trailer. I'll say that much. It was a really good trailer. We're repeating the same sort of gel-based morphing Terminators as we did from another one.
I mean, we're running out of ideas to do now.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to continue this, and this is isn't this supposed to be the beginning of a new, like a rebirth of the franchise, or no?
Yeah, that's what this is supposed to be. Yeah.
Because there's supposed to be more Terminator movies.
Mm-hmm. All contingent on whether this one does well or not. Because I got to tell you right now, if this one doesn't do well, that's it. That's game.
If they're going to keep doing them, then just totally literally scrap any other sequels, wait a few years, and just do an all-out reboot.
At that point, yeah,
instead of just constantly going, oh, this is a reboot, this is a soft reboot. No, just do a reboot and be done with it.
Well, you know what they could do? They could just know that they've been defeated constantly, right? And let him become a politician, let him become president, right? And just without any noise, just assassinate him. And then start Judgment Day, in 2020 or whatever.
But they're trying to prevent him from coming to be in the first place.
Well, here's the thing. The timeline's already prevented from the Terminators being in the first place because it's been changed. But here's the thing, right? If you kill him, then the mission would be for the rebels that are formed, I guess, to go back in the past and prevent them from being. See, now there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be like crazy. I don't even know how to solve this. No matter what, it's a time travel thing. It's always going to be time travel.
Yeah.
You know what it is with Terminator time travel is that we don't really get a lot of rules for how it works, because you could make the argument that, okay, so Skynet fails to kill John Connor, it fails to kill Sarah Connor. So it's like, why wouldn't Skynet then take it one step back and be like, well, I'm going to kill Sarah Connor's mother?
Yeah.
Well, they tried. That was the whole Genesis thing. They went to kill Sarah Connor when she was a kid.
I know, but they and then they had the Arnold Terminator there. But like, let's say that doesn't happen though. So that's why they try to stay away from these like really complex time travel things with Terminator, because it's like, well, you can make the argument that why doesn't Skynet just go back before humans were even a thing and just take over the world? Like,
I mean, another thing is
we would need humans in order to create it after a while.
I mean, another thing is, could it be possible that they're creating multiple timelines where they're in communication with each other? Or we're not getting that advanced?
The only way that would work is if Skynet was somehow communicating with itself.
Like, in other words, let's say the Genesis timeline, right? We saw that the Terminator, I guess Skynet or Genesis, whatever, lived, right? And Matt Smith, like, Terminator thing was going to do a whole thing now in the past, right?
Right.
So unless they communicated, like, that timeline communicated with this timeline, like, maybe, like, see, now I'm taking from other movies, too. This is getting to be...
Basically, what you're saying is it's connected to all its other cells, and it's like doing little scenarios going, okay, this didn't work here, so we'll shoot over here and see how this one goes.
All right, it's
just a multiple of scenarios and simulations.
Okay. I really don't want to use this as an example, but I have to use this as an example. They introduced time travel in the Phantasm movies, okay? And in the last Phantasm movie, they revealed that the tall man, which is the old, whatever, they took over every single Earth there is timelines, except for the one main timeline. Like the main timeline. They just cannot, and because that main timeline where rebellion exists, every timeline thing is in jeopardy of them losing their place or whatever. Like, I don't want them to say like they're gonna do that now, where like they have to control this timeline and they took over the other. I don't know. No matter what, it's gonna be a headache. and somebody's going to have to really think about this carefully and how they're going to solve this, how they're going to make couple Terminator movies well making sense. And again, don't make Terminators where they're so effing unstoppable that you need like a effing like planet, like comet or some shit to destroy the thing. Because the last thing was ridiculous. It was so difficult to beat. Like, you can't keep making them where they're on, like, just whatever. I don't know.
I think when we get more about what the plot of this is, obviously we'll not only we'll have a better idea of what direction the movie might go in, but we can maybe kind of gauge where they're going to go if they make other movies. But right now, I got to say, I'm still in the same place. After this trailer, I'm just kind of like, I don't really care for this one. I really don't. I'm getting that same feeling I got with the Predator when those trailers came out. It was like,
well, that's beyond repair. That's a mess. That you need to reboot. I mean, I don't know, like how that movie just ruined the whole franchise. Like you really need to like.
And it was a continuity error with the kid because he was supposed to be mentally challenged during the movie. Then at the end, they put him in charge of that.
Yeah, you got
working for that special group, and he acted like he wasn't even affected by.
You got to just say that's another timeline because that's just a mess. That one movie ruins everything. Like that's got to go. I mean, I'll keep Predators, 1, 2, and Predators, right? That could stay. That's like not bothering anybody. But that movie, no, that's got to be erased. Totally. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. That isn't that's one thing. You don't have the Predator have a conversation. Like, I'm going to give you a head start now, man, because I'm going to destroy this. Don't get in my way. Just like you don't have Godzilla talk, where we can understand what he's saying.
We went through that one.
Yeah, we did. That's what I'm talking about. What do you want to do, Godzilla? It's like, stop. We don't want this. James Cameron, I'm glad you made some time to produce this and put your 2 cents in and made Avatar on hold. That's great, but maybe you should do other movies too. Not Avatar.
You know what this might be? Maybe this is like the prequel to Avatar, and we just never knew. Like Terminator and Avatar are the same timeline.
I mean, what's next? The Terminator's going to invade planets? Now it's traveling space.
Hey, there you go. Terminator's going to one of the Avatar planets.
Could be like, be the coolest thing that they'll have like the aliens, they're ready to thing, and then you're da-da. And then Terminator wiping out the aliens.
I keep expecting them to do that in Adult Swim, tell you the truth.
I remember
that this movie that we're gonna really have to keep our eyes on with this movie is I have a very funny feeling that there's going to be a lot of SJW propaganda.
Oh, God. I see it in the trailer. I'll be quite honest. I'm already seeing it in the trailer. I saw it twice.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. They had that in the Batwoman trailer, and it pissed me off.
Oh, did they?
I might not watch Batwoman now. She's like, I can't have a man taking credit for it's just like, oh my God.
Give me a break.
Here we go. You want to be your own person, but then you want to have them alter the Batsuit to be for a woman. Why don't you do your own thing? Instead of breaking into Wayne Manor and stealing his equipment.
Because like I was telling Joe, this is actually the second or third version of Batwoman, because it was a 40s version too.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant to send you those pictures. I forgot.
So, what else did we talk about? Was there anything of Far From Home stuff or no?
I haven't seen anything new for that. I don't think we're going to get much more from that until the movie comes out because it's not too far away.
Do you get the impression, tell me if I'm wrong, that as far as Endgame goes, they need to stop talking? Because they're constantly confusing the shit out of people. And not only are they confusing the shit out of people, but the Russo brothers and the writers are not on the same page. and it's flat out apparent that they're not on the same page. Like, regardless, they did what the Russos wanted, but that's not what they want. So, you know, I just think they need to stop talking about, you know, any of it, and just let Marvel's going. Let me explain something to you, and they don't understand this either, right? Marvel is going to do, and Disney, Marvel, Disney United are going to do what they're going to do. Okay, they're not going to keep this the way it is. And I'm going to tell you why. Black Widow comes out and makes $1.6 billion, right? Say goodbye to her sacrifice because she's coming back. There's no way they're going to allow that. Okay, they'll bring her back. They'll do something. They'll change things up. Right? Just like if all of a sudden everything started failing and all these new movies didn't work, the Avengers will be back in like 5 minutes. Okay? That's the way it's going to be. So I don't agree. Like, you didn't need to do that with Black Widow, and she should be able to come back. Steve Rogers, I mean, you know, everybody, we all wanted what's best for Steve Rogers to be with, you know, Agent Carter and stuff. But now it's just, I love Endgame. I think it's the greatest, but it creates so many different things now that they've been trying to answer. Like they said, oh, the Hulk took into account that this person's in the air when the snap happened, and he just made it where everybody appeared in a safe place. Now, I thought that Doctor Strange was the one that was just making sure that, because he, you know, he can be everywhere, like with his magical powers, whatever. But so the Hulk did that now, you know. So they got an answer for everything, I guess. I don't know. But before we go, I want to just say what Endgame is at, because I know people are already concerned. Right now, as it stands, for, I guess it's Wednesday's numbers, right? Or was it Thursday's numbers? No, I'm sorry. This is Tuesday's numbers, right? Let me see. May 22nd. All right, so as of May 22nd, we have in 2,624,908,610. So we're starting to have the foreign numbers just cease. Okay, it's starting to be where they're not making that much money overseas. So it's all going to be up to the domestic numbers now. So this thing is going to have to pull in. I mean, or if it's beat Avatar, which I don't know if it's going to beat Avatar now, but I'm still hopeful. What about you, Chris?
I don't think it's going to, because Aladdin comes out tonight.
Yeah.
Next week is Godzilla.
Well, once Godzilla comes out, it's over. I'm sorry. There's no. It's done.
They're projecting. They still got the projections for Godzilla at 55 million domestically, which I don't agree with, but
right.
I'd say that is accurate. The projections for China came in, and they said that in its first weekend, it's going to make more than 2014 did in its entire run.
Wow.
So I really think that this is probably it for Avengers for a while. Right. I don't think it's going to beat Avatar at this point.
I think it'll go to 2.7 billion.
Sure.
But I don't think it's going to go to 2.8 billion. That's impossible, I think. Unless, Chris, like I said, if it could stay in the top 5, if it could at least stay in 5th place for a month after Godzilla, right? For some weird reason, just above, like just stay there. Then maybe if it makes like 20 million, 30 million, 40 million a week, maybe we could get past this thing. But again, the foreign numbers are going to stop very soon. You know. I'm looking at Scott's thing.
That's the original Batwoman. From the 40s.
Oh, okay. Well, 56.
Yeah. Well, 40s, 50s, but nonetheless.
Yeah, so she paid 56. Yeah. So We'll talk about this later. What time we got left? 6 minutes? Okay. Batwoman again, I'm not, you know what?
Yeah, me neither. This updated version.
If you need to men bash, you're not going to have men watching the show. So,
No.
stop.
But it's not made for you.
Listen, I'm all about men and women equal. Don't get me wrong, but stop men bashing them. And then I don't want to say this is going to be controversial. I'm not going to say it. Never mind. I'm going to be smart about it. What else do we have, Chris? Anything? Oh, Chris, what do you feel about the Jejune coming back with Doctor Who? Are you happy about that, or you don't care?
I mean, I'm happy to see it. I just, I'm wondering how they're going to ruin it.
Right. Oh, there was a story that Connor told me about before, and at the time, I do apologize, Connor. At the time, I didn't see it anywhere else, but then it just popped up everywhere. So, about Knights of the Old Republic, did you see that, Chris?
Yeah. Again, I'm not buying it until I get an official word.
Also, it's all baloney, maybe?
I think so, but
they said they got a writer and everything, or is that just baloney?
Well, I hope it's not Benoff and Weiss, because people want their heads on pikes right now.
Well, I just sent it to you who the person is. Who do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is. And again, I'm not gonna buy it until I see an official thing from Disney.
Okay, so this is baloney. All right, for now.
It might not be, but I mean,
right.
I'm like I said, until they come out and they say, yes, we're doing something with Knights of the Old Republic or something in that time period, I'm not buying it. And again, I want to stress to the people out there that want this to be real, it's going to be different than what you know. Be prepared.
Real quick, Chris, what do you think about this planned movie that I think I saw coming up?
What's that?
What's that? Oh, Knights of Ren.
Well,
yeah. He put Stimpy in there by accident yesterday. I'm like, that's not Ren.
Well,
Knights of Ren are in this, they said, right?
Yeah, it's a movie too late.
I know.
I did like those pictures, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, I like those, but I mean the actual official ones.
Yeah.
From The Rise of Skywalker. That one of Luke there, standing with R2. I was like,
that was an awesome one. Yeah.
Oh wow, this is an unexpected story. John Wick has killed more people than Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers put together.
Yep.
So,
and there's
guys,
a fourth one planned. So
listen, we got to get your hockey mask ready. Get the bleach. Let's go. You can't have that record. We need another Friday 13th, another Michael.
We need a fan-made thing where Voorhees and
you can't let that happen.
Go after Wick.
No, come on.
Dude, Voorhees and Wick Voorhees and Myers would get obliterated.
Let me tell you something.
John Wick Chapter 3?
Yes, it was awesome.
I saw his training, though, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? If there was an invasion, they could actually give Keanu Reeves a weapon.
Yeah, probably.
Like, if there was really aliens or something, he could kill, he was really trained.
Yeah.
To be really that character. He is that character.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to worry. If we got stuck with Keanu Reeves anywhere and he had weapons, we'd be okay.
Reeves and Norris, hey, you just have to send Reeves and Norris in. They're just going to go.
I think Halle Berry's watching him and she's like, I can't believe it. It's just, he was getting headshots, right?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
One of my friends went with me to go see Chapter 3. And after the movie, we were like, oh, there's obviously got to be a fourth one, which has been confirmed already. And we were like, what the fuck is he going to do in the next one? What he's going to take down a whole building or something.
Yeah. Listen, they said they're going to keep making them as long as you want to see them.
I'm telling you.
He don't care.
if they ever did like a crossover with where it was like John Wick goes to Camp Crystal Lake,
Oh my
Oh,
God.
good lord.
he beats Jason hand to hand.
He
That's
might.
it. Jason's
He
done.
might. He might. That's crazy.
Or combine Wick with the Expendables.
I think he could beat all the Expendables by himself.
Probably
I really
can. He probably can. He can beat Rambo, everybody. Yeah.
Well, the way Rambo is now, certainly can.
He could beat
Well, he
everybody.
just go to the
right now.
ranch. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. He'd
Keanu
knock,
Reeves
over,
beat everybody. Right
he'd
now.
knock over a cow or something. And
Probably could kill Neo too.
Probably.
Probably. Has to be. Perfect.
Yeah. I don't
All
know.
right, guys.
You got to see 3.
All right. We're going to run out of time. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye for now.